Hi ladies. I'm so jealous you guys are gathering this evening. Boo. I'm gonna drink some wine and pout. That's kind of every night, but whatever. Amy, I love that idea. And I'll tell you why. I mean, obviously you know why, and everybody else agrees, but to be in the homestead life and bloggers, but not in competition, is really this different type of sisterhood. And I really think that you need to be in this life to understand why you need sisters and less competition. Mentally, like why you need to look at things differently and have each other's back. You know, as a dairy farmer, a farmer in general, it is insanely hard to do what I do in a man's world. Like, I started with zero respect. Like, no man respected me as a dairy farmer or a pasture poultry farmer. Like, that's still a man's world. And it's taken me, what, 10 years to earn it? Yeah, that's a great one. Anyways, I hope you all have a terrible time this evening. I hope your company is boring and your drinks are weak. And you better put me up against the salt and pepper shaker on Polo.
We missed you, Katie. And I really hope that you enjoy what all the other ladies had to say at dinner that night. Even if we had a really good time, even though you were hoping we had a terrible one. So it is not often that I have time to get out and have fun with some girlfriends, and tonight I'm actually doing that. And actually all of this week I get to see some amazing women that I get to talk to all year long, and yet I don't get to see them in person because they are as much as 3,000 miles away. By the way, didn't my kid do a good job like cleaning the back porch off? Even cleaned off my garden towers. There's actually a coupon in the description. You can get a coupon on these. But anyhow, we really enjoyed those this year. So anyway, I thought that I would take tonight and show you tonight and the next few days some of the amazing women that I get to call friends. Most of them we've been friends for, gosh, about a decade. We've been blogging and homesteading before all of that came into be a fad. And the little one is out the window. Can't see him. And honestly, it's just been really fun to get to know them over the years and connect with them. And there's absolutely no competition between us in this homesteading blogging world and business world. And I thought that it was really an important time to share with you guys, because women friends, especially in womanhood and in homesteading and in business, are so important. And so I'm going to take you over this whole week and kind of vlog, if you will. And then I'm also going to maybe give you some tips from some of these women on how it is amazing to be friends with like-minded individuals and how to be a really good friend in the process, even if you do the same things, right? So hang out with me for the next few days in this week's vlog where I get to talk to you all about my women homesteading friends.
And you're not going to go out with sweatpants anymore. You're going to go out with self-pants and say, that's right. I didn't burn up. That's fine. You're eating out the other time, but if you have to do this. But it's during the week, I don't really care. What you're really at. Somebody else. If you can focus on getting bringing people. You don't know who needs to hear that message. You know, and that message is going to be heard by the people that are going to want to fix it. You know, but I 100% agree. I think that it's more about, you know, it's homesteading is healing yourself, not doing all of it.
Right.
You know, and that's where people get away because we don't fit in the box.
Right. I knew I was reaching people early on when one of my first followers reached out to me. And she said because of what she was seeing that I was doing, she now called herself Fire Escape Homesteader.
Yeah.
She lived in an itty-bitty apartment in New York City, and the only space she had available was the fire escape on her window. So she was growing plants. She didn't wash her laundry by hand. She hung it out to dry, and it was just
There's a healing. There is
Yeah.
so much healing.
When you get messages back from people like that you've inspired to do one thing, just one thing, and they tell you like, oh my gosh, we had peas for dinner that we grew on the balcony or on the deck, and you just are like, go team, you got this.
Setting for you. Oh, girl, come on, let's talk about it. What is it? What is it?
Oh, the turkey.
Talk about your turkeys. Let me hear you.
I love them.
Jean loves her turkeys. Why?
I have to get turkeys I can keep after this.
Why do you love turkeys? Why do you love turkeys?
Because they sing when they see you.
Oh, that is true though.
Turkeys, and I have baby chicks. My older flock got wiped out.
How many
All
acres?
gone.
What are you homesteading on? How many acres?
2.5.
2.5.
Yeah.
Is it what you thought it was going to be?
What?
Is it what you thought it was going to be?
Did you say that right?
I
I'm
didn't know
working,
what to
yeah.
expect.
You didn't know what to expect? So, how long have you been doing this?
She's like interviewing.
I really want to know. How long have you been doing it?
It's like interrogation by Anne.
Like 5 years.
Do you like it?
I love it.
Weird now, Anne.
All right, let's switch. Who else do we got at the table? We're switching. Melissa K. Norris of Pioneering Today.
And Annetta Scott of A Farm Girl in the Making.
She calls you Annetta.
She did. That's okay.
Do I know how to say your name?
No, you don't. But that's
She
okay.
rubbed off on me. It's the pronunciation. It's Anne's fault.
All right.
She called me Katie.
Oh.
Okay, but it's back because she called me Katie earlier, so I'm just repaying the wrong name back.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So what? So Melissa.
This is going on YouTube, by the way.
So Melissa, okay, wait, I do have a question for Melissa. Okay, this is a very candid conversation. We've got 6, 7 of us sitting here right now, all women, and at this point in time, just to homestead as a woman, okay, there goes Amy, just to homestead as a woman is difficult as a whole, especially if you are running your property, right? And I think just about everybody here is the majority stockholder, I guess is what we can call it, of our property. So when we sit back and we act as women who are encouragers through this whole experience of homesteading, we each have different things that we bring to the table. And right now we're going to talk to Melissa. Okay, there's shit. So Melissa, I'm going to ask you. So you've been doing this a while, and if anybody doesn't know you, then obviously they're not watching the right thing. So when you got started homesteading, your family's been doing it for a long time, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so your family's been doing it a long time. How long has your husband been doing it for?
My husband's only been homesteading. We've been homesteading together. We've been married 21 years and 1 month. And we started growing a garden the very first year that we got married, but we started doing livestock and the cattle. It's now been about 15 years.
Okay, so basically what you can say is you brought your husband into this journey with you.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Okay. And then on top of that, how much has he had to learn through the whole process of this to get to par for where you're at in existence right now for your property? How long did it take him, do you think, to get on board to really start homesteading?
He was actually on board from the very beginning. I remember the first year that we got married in September. And so spring rolled around, and I'm like, we need to find somebody to rototill up the garden space because it was grass. And I said, so we either need to borrow a rototiller or we need to go buy one, or we can just have someone come up and do it. And he's like, you want to do a garden? And I looked at him. I got married at 18. I was young. And I looked at him and I'm like,
Me too.
woo! Homesteader, we know what we want when we're young, okay? And so I just looked at him and I said, what do you mean, do we want to do a garden? It's what you do. Like, I mean, it's what I grew up doing. I didn't know that it was an option not to, and it wasn't in our house. So he just jumped in. He's been willing and ready to jump in from the very beginning. So there was no of me like convincing him. He just was like, oh, is this what we're gonna do? And so he went out and we've done the garden together, and then we started raising the cattle. So he's really jumped in, and it's been a partnership between us from the very beginning. And he actually does more with the cattle now than I do.
That's what it meant. Like, I hear you talk about that. I think it's more Clay's job than it is really your job, because he seems to love it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the one at the end of the table, way down there, there she is.
I might not be able to hear.
You guys, again, you might have to swing down a little. Oh, there you go. You ask.
Swing what?
What am I gonna ask?
Ask her how she got started.
Okay, Dana, how'd you get started?
We actually kind of fell into it. We were already keeping horses for the kids to compete with, and we just kind of started adding to things and growing and building more buildings to house animals and changing the garden area from year to year to see what was going to work and what wasn't, and just kept pushing through. Like, some years are hard. We've been homesteading for 25 years, and it wasn't even homesteading back then. It was like, oh, you grow a garden? That's cool. And oh, you have a horse. So it was a different mindset back then. Homesteading is kind of a new term. I mean, it's a really, really old term, but then it was abandoned as we got into commercial agriculture. So it was just, it was not used for decades, and people got away from it.
So how many acres do you have down there?
We have 120 some acres.
Nice.
Mostly woodlands. It's a tree farm. It's in the tree conservation program. So it's a managed hardwood farm. So that's the actual farm designation, is a managed hardwood farm. But we can keep animals under that umbrella and just keep it as rural as we can. It's not all pretty and it's not all happy, but as a big picture, it is. As a big picture, you just don't look at every little setback that you find along the way, and you look at the big picture of how much growth you've had over the years. It's pretty amazing. You've gone from horses to adding poultry, to adding pigs, to adding beef cattle, and finding out what works for your land, what doesn't work. What you would need to change if we brought beef cattle back on our property again. There's a lot of infrastructure that we would have to change up in order to do that successfully. So just, it's always a learning thing. Just learning as you go.
Okay, yeah, you gotta direct me, because I'm horrible for looking. It's like all of here and here.
Yeah, I was looking at that poster. That's pretty cool.
So it's like the sisterhood of the traveling pants,
Yes.
but not pants.
Okay. There you go. You keep going. She doesn't do what I do. Pause. Say it because I don't. I like this.
Well, on our urban homestead, I'm actually an Iowa farm kid, and education and jobs brought me out to Colorado and wanted to be close to a university. So was looking in town, and we found a house that looked nice, but when we walked in, we saw the backyard, boom, we were done. It was a third of an acre, mature landscaping, and all I saw was the potential there. I had room to put my chicken coop in, I had a room for huge gardens, fruits, vegetables, herbs, and my husband was on board with that. He's also a former farm kid, and so he's really excited about that opportunity. So even though we are on a third of an acre, we are making the most that we can with what we do. So we not only say raise our chickens, we keep bees, we compost, we garden, I preserve a harvest. We grew up with a milk cow in our family, and I have been a cheesemaker for well over a decade now, and I use both raw and pasteurized milk, and then what I have access to. So I'm really making the use of all the resources available on our small urban homestead. And I really believe that homesteading is a state of mind, making the most of what you have on hand.
Man, that was good. You're good at this.
What was that about flying by the seat of your pants that you can't do?
We already got you, right?
Yeah.
The singing turkeys, baby.
Oh, okay. Where do I start? Where do I start? Where do I start? That's where I start. Okay. And action. I started homesteading about probably 9, I would say, let's just say 9, about 9 years ago. Our journey kind of started more with a personal, my childhood. I was out in the woods, I was a mountain girl. I learned what plants were edible at a really young age, learned how to find them and where to find them. Wild ginseng and all that. Married my teenagehood sweetheart.
Teenagehood?
Teenagehood. He was military, and so our relationship is more the combination of the art of survival. I'm the art, he's the survival, and we felt this calling to do this homesteading life and raise our own, and we're always learning and we're constantly growing, and we are going to continue this homesteading journey. And each season that we've gone through, we've realized what's worked and what hasn't worked, and then we've added and decided, hey, we want to try this year and go from there. We're also raising 2 kids to be a part of our homestead and try to teach and encourage them to, live a different life. All while doing this, I'm documenting a lot of our story on YouTube and sharing and encouraging other people to become homesteaders as well.
Awesome sauce. What are you doing, Ann?
Working on Instagram. Sorry,
on Instagram.
pictures of my friends.
So, Ann.
What I do.
Your turn, Ann.
Homesteading. I started about 8 years ago. 8 years ago now.
Remember, keep it short.
Yeah, 8 years ago. You know what I was about to do, right? Homesteading started about 8 years ago, and it was actually Justin's dream, suburban housewife. Justin's dream to move out, leave the suburbs, and move on to something so we didn't have to have neighbors anymore. From there, it was a waste to not work with 2 acres of land. So I decided that we were going to become homesteaders, and I transformed a single family home on 2 acres on the mountainside into a sustainable homestead. Anything we can't grow or we can't raise, I actually purchase from small businesses and small farmers around in our area. And in that short period of 8 years, it's led into just a lifestyle of independence, ownership, and the ability to really want to teach others how to incorporate a lifestyle that they don't think can exist, regardless of where you're living. So it has been probably a journey that's been no other, but the purpose of this whole video for this video was to incorporate a sisterhood in regards to finding individuals that actually help uplift you and get you to where you need to be. And each one of us, other than Amy and Jean and Kaylee here live close to each other. Connie's in Colorado, Melissa and I live close to each other. Janet's only 2 hours from Amy in Maryland. The point of it is that you don't have to have that person that you raised, that taught you how to live this life, but you have to have sisters or brothers that will help you through this life. And I think that was important, that you find that tribe of yours to learn and to be independent, but to encourage you to be independent at the same time. And so now we're going to go to Amy and figure out what's going on with Amy.
No, it's on my channel, so everybody knows who I am.
And I thought I was going to get her.
You have to add in though. It goes back to one of your original Facebook groups. It was the Women Supporting Women.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
I mean, that was a lot of my personal.
It was about
Do you know that Amy was
That's
the
my
first person that helped me get started with my
That's
first
a long
livestock?
time ago.
My first livestock was meat rabbits, and that was I bought them from you, and then that's how I figured it out because we wanted to do something. I just didn't know what we wanted, how we wanted to do it. So that was a long time ago.
Gary still wants to know if we can just drop roosters off in your place at any barnyard stories.
It's just like, you know, okay.
Oh my god.
You gotta mention by name.
Go. Say my name. I think you get what I mean, right? Like, choosing women friendships, especially when you have the same lifestyle. So first off, I'm gonna put it out there: friendships with women are challenging, especially if you are not the typical woman. But finding a group of friends that all have very similar mindsets, especially with homesteading, is huge, because I can't tell you how many times where I have homesteading in general, you're going to have ups and downs no matter what, and there are days that you are just like, you feel like, what the heck, I'm such a failure. But having that group of friends that you can kind of reach out to and share those challenging times, and then also having that group of friends, the same group of friends, when you're having a really good time and a good moment and sharing that together, that's what helps you grow, because, you know, just having that relationship. Plus, I've known some of these ladies for quite some time now, between Ann and Amy and Janet. So, is that good? Feels good.
I know that you are having a hard time right now. That everything seems to crumble around you. I know that you feel all alone in this world, but you have to put your trust into us, and we will help you through, 'cause we only want what's best for you.
We didn't get to spend nearly as much time together as we probably wanted to. I didn't even get quotes from my friends on what I think or what they think makes a really good woman friendship. But I have seen them interacting with each other online ever since we left and said goodbye on Saturday evening. And I think that I can gather and say for all of them what I think makes a really good woman friendship. This weekend, I not only learned more about my friends, I learned more about myself, and I learned more about my team that is pulled together every year for the Homesteaders of America conference, and it's mostly women. Some of our husbands jump in, but for the most part we are a woman-run company. And we had some pretty interesting times. Starting on Wednesday evening, we went out to dinner and we had some really good chats, and we had some kind of passionately heated chats. We had discussions in the middle of the night that we kind of had iron sharpening iron situations, and situations that we kind of bounced ideas off of each other and talked business and talked relationships, and it was quite an interesting time with every individual woman that came. You have people like my friend Janet, who is sweet and honest and caring and loving, and she would never ever lie to you or lie about you. And she's just one of those friends that you know is always going to be there and give you the truth in a gentle and loving way. You have people like my friend Anne, who most people know she's my best friend in the whole world, who is very outgoing, very loud in a good way, but she would give you the shirt off of her back in a heartbeat. She's also not your yes man. She's going to tell you like it is, and if you don't like it, that's okay. What a lot of people don't know about her is she has a very, very soft emotional inside, and she might not always show it, but she's pretty amazing at nurturing people. You take Connie, who is a fabulously quiet and caring individual. The first thing she said to me when she first came in on Wednesday evening when we had a girls' night dinner, I commented to her about how much weight she's lost and how wonderful she was for losing weight, and she goes, "Oh, you look wonderful too." I said, "Oh no, I'm like super frumpy still, and I can't even blame the baby weight anymore." And she looked at me and just so genuinely said, not like one of those obligatory things, but she just genuinely said, "Amy, I don't think you realize you're just naturally beautiful. It doesn't matter what you weigh." She's like, "You're just one of those people who are just pretty all the time." And I felt really good the rest of the night. So she's a very good encourager, and she genuinely means what she says. Then you take my friend Kaylee from the Homestead. She is also one of those genuine people. She will never say a bad thing about you. She will always try to work around any situation where she just loves to find the good in every single person, and I think that's a wonderful trait about her. My friend Jean, who joined us on Wednesday and Friday night, and she's actually local to me, I need to spend more time with her. She is an honest and loving individual, but she's also kind of like, she's like Anne and Janet combined into the perfect mixture of both of them. She is very smart, she is funny, she is serious, she's somebody that I could talk to and really get into in-depth conversations about and meaningful conversations about. And she's also one of those women who can just listen. She can just sit and listen and then form an opinion about things without getting upset or offended. And it's really nice to have friends like that. And then the newest gal that I met this year was Melissa K. Norris, and she is wonderful. She is very outgoing, like totally different than what I watch on YouTube, when I was on her podcast. She's a lot like me in many, many ways, and she's very business-minded, she's very smart, and she's just overall fun to be with. And you gotta have that friend too, that she's just ready to go, upbeat, ready to challenge you, and that is really just fun to be around. Of course, I certainly have other friends in my life, but those are the people that were with us this weekend, other than Quinn. And I want to talk about Quinn for just a second. Quinn and her family came in on Thursday. They didn't join us on Wednesday. And Quinn is also my assistant, but she truly is just a wonderful team member at HOA. And I mean, she could run this thing even if I weren't around. That's how amazing she is. And she's one of those people who is very quiet, and she stands back and she watches and she observes a lot, and she's going to give you her opinion, but she's also not going to do it in a really snarky way. And I think that's really important to have women friends like that. She's also a go-getter. She, I would get there in the mornings and she had already been up since 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock getting HOA work done. I mean, she is truly like a kindred spirit, because her and I both passionately love HOA, and she's just 100% committed to whatever she does. And so I learned a lot more about Quinn this weekend, stuff I already knew, but just seeing Quinn in action in ways that I don't normally get to see her. I was blown away by her ability to multitask and just get stuff done, and her commitment to getting stuff done. I mean, there were moments where she left the entire group and she just committed to doing her work for the next hour. And I find that in her life too. She's committed to her family. She's committed hardcore to homesteading. I mean, she brought gallons of milk, all kinds of homemade cheese, homemade meats, homemade roast beef, homemade bread. She made dinner for us one night. I mean, she is committed to this lifestyle, and she's committed to friendships unless you go crazy on her. And she's just committed to people and anything that she sets her mind to. And that is really encouraging and empowering. It's nice to have women around you that are completely different. Everyone brings something to the table. We sat there for dinner each night, and I looked around at each and every individual woman, and they were all different with similarities, but they were all different. And every single one of them brought something different to that table, a different opinion, a different lifestyle, a different way to handle things, a different way to say something. And I don't know that any of us got upset about anything that was said except for some of the heated discussions, and then they evened out. We weren't like, oh, this is over, or oh, I don't like this person. We were like, hey, all right, we difference in opinion, and it's okay to do that. And you know what? Eventually I might see it your way, or you know what? I understand you're not seeing it my way, so maybe I'm just not saying it right, you know? Women friendships, not just in business, but in homesteading and life, they are so important to have, because we don't all do things the same way. We all have different strengths and weaknesses, and we have to allow our other women friends in our tribe to really shine in those strengths and weaknesses. And where one is weak, then the other one is strong. We can't all be all the things. We can't all know everything or do everything. And I learned that greatly this weekend while being around lots of strong and amazing women who have different opinions and lifestyles and ways of doing things. We all rented this huge house on an 86-acre farm, and while we were in the middle of conference and also getting to know each other, it was a nice time of rest and peace, and also reflection on just how important it is to have people around you that are the same but are also different, that can challenge you, that can support you, that can encourage you, and that can inspire you to do new and amazing things in your life, in your family, and on your farm. I'll tell you, many of these women inspire me to come home and do more things. I know, right? How much more time is needed to do these things? But here's an example. Quinn makes amazing cheese. I don't have the desire to make amazing cheese, but I love eating cheese. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna buy cheese from Quinn. and it just goes on like that. So I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you to take the time and set aside time to intentionally be with the people that you love, with the friends that you know, and take the time to create new friends, because when we surround ourselves with people that are exactly like us, we are just edified in our own opinions and thoughts. But when we surround ourselves with people that are similar to us but not exactly like us, then we as an individual grow and flourish. And here's what I've learned about this woman group. We can share different opinions and not get mad. And if we do get mad, we're over it pretty quickly, because we know that each one of us has our best interest in mind. We are not each other's yes man. If I have an opinion and it's a really dumb one and they tell me about it, then I'm going to respect that opinion, even if it hurts my feelings or makes me mad. The most important thing about women friendships is knowing that we're all a little bit emotional, but that emotions cannot rule our relationships and our life. That valuing people above emotions, above thoughts, is more important than getting all wrapped up in your everyday, oh my gosh, what was she saying? Oh, she meant this about me. No. When we go into women relationships automatically assuming that that person has our best interest in mind, things change. Relationships change. There is no competition. There is no thought of competition. You know what the most amazing thing is? That every one of these women have a business or an avenue that they have put together, and we should all technically be in competition with each other, and we're not. Instead, we support each other and encourage each other and promote each other because we value each other above everything else. So if you're looking for good homesteading relationships, it doesn't start with your friends. It starts with you. It starts with the mindset that going into everything thinking that everyone has your best interest in mind instead of the worst. And I think it's going to change the way you look at your women relationships. Thanks for coming along with me in this vlog. I'm sorry I didn't get more clips, but it was a wonderful weekend and we enjoyed it, and I hope I can share more with you soon. Until next time, happy homesteading.